How you doing, everybody? I'm Anthony J. Bucci,
I'm Liz.
and we're Where Do We Go podcast. Last week, we just winged it. We didn't practice for 1 second. We still haven't practiced for 1 second. We got a great guest today. But first, we wanted to just talk to you guys and let you know, thank you. I got a lot of messages, DMs, saying we helped some people. That meant a lot. Gave me some strength. I lost my daughter, Tama A. Bucci. For those of you who have never watched the podcast, she was a state trooper on 93. She stopped to help a disabled motorist, and she was killed in the line of duty. It was the hardest day of my life, but we're here. We're here to show you scars, so hopefully we can help you heal. Take it away, Liz.
Hi, and I'm Liz, and my two sons, JP and Paul, each lost their right leg in the Boston Marathon bombings of 2013. So together, Anthony and I are going to bring our tragedies and try to help you with moving forward from your tragedy.
It's a healing journey. It's one day at a time. Sometimes for me, it's 1 second at a time. The smallest things trigger me off. I haven't slept through the night since March 3rd when I was woken up at 4 a.m. in the morning, actually March 4th, from a phone call from 3 state troopers to break the bad news to me. On March 4th, I learned what a broken heart is. And until my last breath, I will be grieving the loss of my beautiful daughter.
It's tough.
No words can describe it. This wound will never heal. So I'm moving forward. My daughter would never want me to give up. The loss of a child has demolished me. Our guest today lost his son, Nicholas Joseph Shannon, a young kid with a promising future. We know Joey Shannon, the guest, great guy, dear friend. It's going to be a tough podcast, but we're here being vulnerable, letting him know and you guys know you're not alone.
Yes, it's exciting to have Joey on. We went to school with Joey, and sadly, Joey has to move forward every day. So Anthony, since our last podcast, how are you doing? How are you moving forward?
Like I said earlier, 1 second, one breath, one day. It's all different. Every day is different. Certain things set me off. I've had a lot of different signs. My daughter was very spiritual. I'm very spiritual. I've had lights flicker. I've had finding pennies, and I'll look at the year, and it'll be the year she graduated from her class, the year she was born, one of them. It's just been like birds. It's just so many signs, and I'm finding these pennies in the weirdest places. But one thing I can't do is hit the lottery. I keep playing her numbers.
You know, it's funny because when my mother passed away, I was very close to my mother, and I was her caregiver, as you take care of your mom. And I said if my mother could come back and tell anybody she was okay, she would definitely tell me. And I have never had a sign that really validated that. So hearing that from you is really uplifting.
It was funny. My daughter's dear friend came over the house to visit me and my mother. And while we were talking, the girl's name is Skylar, and as we were talking, my mother's iPad starts going off, and I walk over and I look, and was no reason for it to go off. We were in the middle of talking about Tama, who was super spiritual, and the light started flickering, and there was no message, there was no reason for it to be doing this. And then my mother's phone, when you say hi Siri or hey Siri, and you could ask it something, was spinning around and making that, it was just so many things were going on that day. And I've had it like so many times. I'll be in my bed at night, in the middle of the night, thinking of my daughter crying, and then I can't sleep with the lights off because because of the tragedy of 4 in the morning, they woke me up. So I've had dreams of the phone ring in the middle of the night. So I always have some sort of light on in my room. And I was in my room, and I'm not, too proud to tell. I tell you guys, I was crying alone, and the light started flickering, like not just little flickering, like serious flickering. And I know my daughter, because she was very spiritual. Like I said, she talked to people on the other side, and and that was her thing, spirituality. And I know it was her saying, Dad, I'm okay.
She's okay, and you should be proud of her. And speaking about Tama, how is the foundation coming along?
I just got our 501c, so now I'm going to start advertising.
Congratulations, that's awesome.
Thank you. Asking for donations. If anybody wants to help me build a park for my daughter, that would be awesome.
And what kind of park are you doing?
Well, my daughter was a fitness fanatic, so I want to have a fitness area. She loved dogs. I'm going to have a dog area, and she loved kids. So I'm going to have a park for everybody.
Wow.
And, it's going to have, fitness stations. It's going to be state-of-the-art park, first class. I need to raise $150,000. So far, I've raised $4,800.
Hey, it's a start, and that's awesome.
Exactly. So anybody can help me, that would be great. You can go on the website, tamabuccifoundation.com. Just hit a button, you can donate. Your name goes on it, and we'd appreciate it. And I'm also going to help families of tragedies, whether it be mental health counseling, and hopefully help pay for funerals if people can't afford it and stuff like that once we get on our feet and rolling.
Wow, that's awesome. So how about we bring in our guest, Joey, to talk about how we can move forward after a tragedy.
Yes, that would be awesome. Hi, everybody. We'd like you to meet our dear friend, Joey Shannon. Joey's son, Nicholas, died tragically, and Joey's here to tell us our story, help you guys, and help us all heal. Tell us, Joe.
Well, my son was out that night, and the last thing he said to me, he left, he said, it was Saturday afternoon. He said, I love you, Dad. I said, I love him. And then he said, real quick, like he said all the time, I love you too. That's the last time I talked to him. I got to say I love you to my son. A lot of people don't get that. But something like that could save your life, because that, as far as I'm concerned, is one of the things that saved my life. It's just the fact that if you have a loved one that's going and they're going, what do you say to them? You say, I love you, because there's nothing else you can say. Well, I got to say that. A lot of people don't get that. You know what I'm saying? So one good thing I got to say that. But my son died in a tragic accident. He fell off a stoop. But he was walking down with this girl, and he fell and cut his neck. And that was it. And so, like you said, we get the call 4:30 in the morning. The police come to your house, and your world is turned upside down. It'll never get turned right side up. Never. My son's been gone 4 years, 2 weeks, and it'll never be the same.
Joey, can I ask you a question? Are you spiritual? Do you believe in?
I used to think I was, but you get tested. And I tried, did grieving things, and you go to talk to people. And again, you're looking to these people for answers. And guess what? Unless this happened to you, they don't know your feeling, because it's just something you wouldn't know unless it happened to you. And they can't, but they want to help you. But spiritually, I've tried going back to the church, and I don't get anything from it right now. Maybe I will in the future. I'll keep trying. My wife will not. She's angry, bad, like very angry. And I support her 100%. But we both try to find something that will help us get through a day, distract us. But the sitting around and watching TV don't help,
No, because I think as a parent, how does one, and for me, Although I say this to Anthony all the time, my situation was different. Although JP was missing for 6 hours, and I honestly thought he was dead.
No.
So I got lucky and blessed. But I can
Right.
tell you, I know that feeling, and there's not a feeling I would never wish that on anybody. So how, if somebody that's watching us and dealing with this, nobody knows because they're not walking in your shoes or Anthony's shoes or anybody that's lost with death. But what would you tell them? Like, what could they maybe? What did you learn 4 years, and 2 weeks later, you're still dealing with the worst misery that anyone could deal with? Is there anything that you could maybe help somebody by? What could somebody do or try to put one foot in front of the other and move forward?
The support you get from people at the beginning is incredible, and it's great. And then those people want to support you, but they really don't know what to do because they've never had this happen to probably someone close to them like that. So they don't know how to help you. What I would tell people is always, if you're thinking about something and you need to call someone, call them. Call a brother, call your sister, call your mom, your dad, call if it's a child or something, call someone, and just always don't be alone. Don't be alone.
Does the crying ever slow down?
You know something? It does. It gets less and less, but you'll find that you'll start doing it more when you're alone. If you're with someone and then you're doing something, you won't do it. Because at the beginning, you do it in front of anybody. You could be just walking with someone and you can lose it. After 4 years, I might, be by myself driving in my truck and I might lose it. But then when I get to my hockey game or something, I'm okay with my friends and everything. But it does, the crying subsides, but the pain doesn't, because it just doesn't go away.
Did you do group grief therapy?
I did a little bit in a course that was like 7 or 8 weeks, and it was pretty good. The people were pretty good in it. Most of them were people that had lost their parents. And, I lost my mom 3 weeks before my son, so I really didn't get to mourn my mom. But I know my mom would say, worry about Nick. Don't worry about me. Worry about Nick. And that's it. But when they hear you lose it, like when they're going around saying, yeah, I lost my mom and I lost my dad, and everyone says, and then I said, well, I lost my mom, and then 3 weeks later I lose my son, all those people gasp. They're like they can't believe it. You know what I'm saying?
It's
So
awful.
it's the child's the worst. There's just
Devastating.
there's no second to that. The child's the worst. And it doesn't, and you'll find out your life will always be very upsetting, but you'll have parts where you might have a good day one day, but then the next 6 might be awful, but then you might have another good day. So you look back and say, oh, the last 2 weeks, I had 2 good days.
Do you feel guilty? This goes.
I was just about to ask him.
Do you feel guilty if there is a day that you? I don't say forget because you never forget, but
Right.
is there a day that you feel guilty because you are actually smiling and
Yeah.
having a good day?
Yeah, of course. You're like, why am I having a good time? Why am I enjoying myself? You that's just like normal.
See, with me, it's I regret I went to jail twice, and my biggest regret was I was never around for my kids. The last time I was in prison was 16 years. So I get out. My daughter's, going to the academy, becomes a state trooper, and the last year and a half we bonded like amazing. We put everything in the past. She sought therapy when I was gone because I was gone.
Mhm.
We, it wasn't easy at first, but then, the last year and a half, it was like we talked every day.
Mhm.
And like you said earlier, my biggest comfort is the relationship we formed,
Mhm.
which made up for all those years. And it kills me that we couldn't continue it, but at least I have that to hold on to.
Right.
Like the day before she died, the next day, where I was having a birthday party, she wanted Chinese food, and for her birthday that night, I sang "Happy Birthday" to her, and you can see when she kept the audio on her phone,
Yeah.
and then she told me, "I love our bond, Dad, and I'll always have that to remember." You know what I mean? And anybody can say whatever they want, because there's a lot of people that like to throw gas, like because I was away and stuff, whatever. But nobody can take away, like you said, what we had. They can try, they can say whatever they want.
It don't matter because that's your biological child. And I'm in pain, but I can tell you someone. My wife is in pain. Bad. If anyone could be closer to my son than me, it was my wife. And those were her parts. You know what I'm saying?
I agree, because I think for myself, I struggle for CJP and Paul, like the change in their lives, like their independence was somewhat taken from them, and, seeing things that are different for them. But, they're fine. They've moved on and they don't look back. But as a mother, it's sad to me, and it will always be sad to me. And, there's memories that pop up on Facebook. I find myself crying, and it really is a tough time. But for you, Anthony, but I told you the other day, your past is a lesson, not a life sentence. So
I
your
know.
daughter loved you, and
Absolutely.
and you know that.
That's all you have to. That's all you
That's
have
right.
to know. And you know something, you'll get tested along the way, but you just got to know that, hey, and people are gonna say they're whatever they say. Who cares? It doesn't really matter. It might bother you and stuff, but when the bottom line is, your daughter loved you, you knew you loved her, and that's just it.
What keeps me going is like when she had COVID, I was there and I took care of her. I had just had COVID,
Right.
so I had natural immunity, so there was nobody safer
Right.
to be around than me. So I took care of her, and I was around my mother too, but I just had COVID, so I couldn't give it to either one of them. So there was no risk of of transmitting it to anybody. So I was there for that. And the most honorable thing, and I know this sounds crazy, but in January, a couple months before she got killed, she asked me to take her for her colonoscopy. And that's usually, you wouldn't ask a father to do something like that, right?
No, you
But she asked me.
One of those yourself.
Yeah, she asked me.
That's a pretty shitty situation.
I know it sounds crazy, but to me, it was like the ultimate honor because, we had gotten that close that she asked me, and it was like, wow, But anyways,
That's awesome. So let's get. How can we give the people that are watching us some help? What can we offer them?
this is what this is all about, Joey.
Yeah.
We're trying to build bridges, help people.
Yeah.
I think that if people are in our situation, are out there and listening, just try to stay busy. And then as time goes on, I won't say you'll learn to do other things. You almost have to learn to live again.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because you just want to die. I mean, you can't say that there's some points in the time you would just want it to be over because you just want to. But as you keep going and keep going, you'll learn to distract yourself. And that's what you got to do. And you're at the beginning, and a friend of mine had lost his daughter, and he's at the beginning. He's a little longer than you, and he's a lot of anxiety, and same with his wife. And they both said they don't want to be here. But now they're taking care of her child.
The way I feel is my daughter was all about helping people.
Right.
And we had that bond because she saw what I was doing with the podcast. Like I was being interviewed on different podcasts, and I was on iHeartRadio, with redemption and coming back out into the real world and not going back to the life of crime and trying to change and giving that message. And that was our niche. So she passed me the torch, and I'm trying to carry it. It's not easy,
Right.
but that's why we're here today, trying to.
When you prepare for something like this show here, as long as the show lasts 2-3 hours and you finish the show, guess what? You just got through 2 or 3 hours. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That you probably felt okay.
And one thing I wanted to stress to the viewers is you don't have to lose a child like me and Joey. Liz's sons lost legs. but this show's for everybody.
Right.
It's not just for people that have severe tragedies like us.
Right. You can know, it's probably a good chance that everybody knows someone who has lost a child or lost a parent or something, and just know that the support you give them is doing some good.
Yeah. Like I had a guy who he didn't lose anybody, but he DM'd me and said I was lying on the couch feeling sorry for myself.
Right.
He just lost his job,
Right.
and he was ready to give up. He lost his job, and then he saw us talking, and now like with you, it's like he said, shit gets real out there. You know what I mean? I'm blessed to have just lost.
I say that to family members when they're all banged up and everything, and they say this. I says, well, listen, what you're going through, you're going to be able to fix. I don't know, maybe 6 months or a year or 2 years. I says, but you're going to be able to fix it. I says, what I'm going through will never be fixed.
Never.
So some people might look at you and might look at me and might look at you and say, you know, something, they're figuring it out. I have to figure it out. And they try to figure it out.
I always say, my kids are always like, exercise, exercise. And I'm like, I can't walk. And they look at me, how dare you? We don't have a leg and you're complaining.
Really?
And I'm like, oh, you're right.
And like you said earlier, people like can say whatever they want, but they're not in our shoes and they're not living this life. And one guy said to me, you know, God chose you because he chose his strongest soldiers to, fight his hardest battles. And I said, buddy, you can have this battle.
Right.
I don't want this battle. I want my daughter back.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Absolutely. No one wants it.
I'm going to tell you something, Joey. Like I heard what happened to your son. I heard what happened to other people. And, my heart went out to you guys. But I never, ever thought it would be this just like it demolished me. Like I've done 3 years in solitary confinement. I got a 21-year prison sentence. All that is like a joke compared to this.
Right.
Like this is the toughest battle ever.
I hate to say it, but it's the ultimate life sentence.
It is, yeah.
It really is. It's like
We're doing this
Okay.
till our last breath.
Right. It ain't nothing's gonna change. It's just you have to find something that will help you get through. Period.
We're living in the darkness.
Right.
It's just like I'm looking for any little light to get through the day
Right.
every single day
Right.
because it's just so dark and like I'm trying not to lose my temper and act
Right.
crazy and do something stupid, but sometimes you get tested because this is like so hard to do. So
many times I'd be in the kitchen with her and we'd both lose it and we'd hear the kids coming down the stairs. And so I'd sink my head into the sink, start washing dishes that were already clean. And she'd go into the fridge, look for something to cook up when it's already cooking on the stove. You know what I'm saying? You just have to hide your face until you got to compose yourself real quick and put on a good face because the kids and other people want you to be okay. But it's hard. You try to hide it and say you are okay, but guess what? You're very broken inside.
So, Joey and Anthony, I have a question for you guys. I know with my mom, when my mother died, I felt with like over time, you learn to cope. You never get over it, but you learn to cope with it, better. The loss of a loved one and obviously a child, there is no learning or getting over it. So, I have a question to you. Do you guys? I know I've asked you if you're spiritual and religious or whatnot, but what is your take like after a loved one dies?
Me, I believe there is something else after this life. I had long discussions with my daughter about it, and she believed in it also. We talked about it. We thought there's a book, I forget the name of it, but it says we're all here on a contract. And like my soul was somebody else's soul before this, and will be somebody else's soul after. That's deep, I know, but that's what we believed. And like I said, I've had many serious make every hair in your body stand up signs that my daughter's still with me. And I've been treated unfairly by certain people and been really, really sad about it. And she's been right there letting me know, Dad, I'm with you. And like one night I was really bad. I was upset about something, and like a light like this started flickering like on and off, and it wasn't on a dimmer. It wasn't like, it was like in the middle of my, and I was like, and that was her saying, I'm here with you. So yes, I 100% believe in it. I'm not religious. I'm very spiritual.
What about you, Joey? What do you think?
I have to see my son again. I just have to. And I wrote in the back of his stone, we will see you again. So he's waiting for me right now. But he knows I got a little bit more work to do here. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He knows I got more work to do here. When you do good things, it makes you feel good. You help someone, you help whatever. It makes you feel good. It gets you through a time, and it's satisfying. And that's what you have to do. You have to sort of satisfy yourself.
Your son would want you. Your son would want you happy. Your son would want you up here right now talking about him like you are.
I was talking to him before I came here.
All right. And now you're out here talking about him helping people.
Right.
Because like I said before, this isn't just about people losing our kids.
Right.
It might be you lost a friend, you lost your job on the stock market, and you lost every penny you had, and you're thinking about ending your life. And then they see people like us that have like gone through what we're going through. And like I had a kid, like I said I got up off the couch, and now I'm able to function again because I saw you, and I've stopped feeling bad for myself.
Right.
So.
Absolutely. When you get problems, you can say, okay, listen, your problems, you can turn yourself around and think you can hit rock bottom, and there's only one way to go, is up. So, but when this happens to you.
So I have another question, Joey and Anthony. Living in Melrose and shopping at Stop and Shop in Stoneham, I see you quite often in the store, and I see Anthony every day. Does it get hard when people repeatedly, because I know I do it myself to you, I saw you mowing the lawn the other day, and I always think, oh, I hope he's doing okay. Or does it get hard for you when people repeatedly ask you how you're doing or mention Nick?
I have like a rule to myself that I don't, when I talk to like someone like you and someone that lost someone, I don't say, how are you doing? I say, what's going on? Because I sort of know how you're doing. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. I sort of know that you're broken inside and you're just beat up and it just doesn't feel good. So I say, what's going on? Meaning, what's going on in your life? How are you coping? Right. That's what I say. I say, what's going on instead of how are you doing? Because people say that to me and I sort of want to say, how am I doing? I don't know. I just lost my soul. And I just had my heart broken, and it's never going to be fixed again. But other than that, I'm great.
Right.
But they mean well. People mean well. They don't want to hurt you. They want you to be okay. But sometimes they say things that you walk away and you go, I can't believe you just said that. But then in your head, he didn't mean it the way it came out.
No, that's good, because I say we just buried a very good friend that I met after the marathon bombing yesterday. He was buried today, which ironically, he died on my father's birthday, and my dad has been dead 16 years today, and he was buried today. And my father was always playing Santa Claus. I was telling this to Anthony. He was the best Santa Claus and the best guy, but when we went to the wake yesterday, I said to my daughter, people were saying to the family, I'm sorry. Well, we know you're sorry, because what else can you say? And then, how are you doing? I'm like, how are you doing?
My daughter's funeral and wake were very, very public, as you know, like 5,000 people and stuff.
I was there.
Okay. And I feel like back then, like I was the only person in the room. Like I was so out of it and so like praying that I would wake up and this wasn't really happening. And that must have happened with you too, like, because It was so like sudden. Like we're planning a birthday party, and then hours later, I got somebody telling me my daughter's dead, and it's just like to this second, it's like unbelievable for me. It's like, how do you get over it?
It's not real. It's not real. It's like when you're told, you're almost like when the cop came to my house and told me what happened. He just stood there and he said, there was an accident tonight. I says, your son was in an accident. I says, okay, where is he? Is he okay? Right. First thing, no, he's deceased. Boom. That was it.
Was it a Stoneham cop?
It was 2 Revere detectives and the Stoneham cop. because he was over his girl's house in Revere.
One thing I've noticed with my case is that sometimes it's the people you least expect to give you that comfort and exactly what you need. Like even a stranger who DMs you out of the clear blue and says something that really comforting, and it's the people you sometimes expect the most that disappoint you.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
There'll be people in your life that will always stay in touch with you. They'll contact you like once every 3 weeks or something and say, what's going on? What are you doing? And stuff like that. But then there'll be, it sort of bummed me out a little too, you lose touch with some people. And I don't really get too upset about it because they have to live their life. They have to. And so living their life, there's a lot that goes on in your life.
What's your wife's name?
Teresa.
Teresa. Well, make sure you give Teresa a hug when you go home,
Yeah.
and let her know that, we feel her pain, and we probably maybe should have had her come on.
I asked her to come, but she said she wouldn't come. She would have came, but she wasn't going to talk because she can't talk like I talk about.
Well, you represented her well. You spoke highly of her. You spoke of her pain, and we really appreciate you coming on.
And you remain in our thoughts and prayers. Both of you guys are always in my thoughts and prayers.
Yes,
Absolutely.
and I know people hearing your story. You help somebody. We're trying to help everybody. Not everybody, but whoever we can. If we can touch 1, 2, 3, 5, as many people as we can touch and help. That's the goal. Like I said, my daughter passed the torch to me to try to help others. Liz has been going through this 10 years. You've been going over 10 years, 4 years. I'm green. I'm only like 6 months.
Right.
So, we have all stages right in front of you guys. And if you need help, DM me. I'm the Convicted Vegan on Instagram. I'm Anthony Bucci on Facebook. I'm glad somebody has reached out. I'm glad somebody has started following, liked our podcast, subscribed. We're trying to help others. That's our mission. That's our goal. This is the battle we're fighting. Our hearts are broken. We're here to help you. We're never going to heal, so hopefully our scars will help you heal.
Yep.
No, you're not alone.
Yeah, you're not alone.
That's what it is.
Yeah,
No,
there's
you're
all
not
different-
alone.
There's all different degrees of loss, mourning, pain. Like I said at the beginning, pain has no shape, color, or form,
Grief is grief.
and grief is grief.
Well, Joey, thank you so much for taking this time out and talking to us,
Thanks for having me.
us Stoneham people.
I know.
Gotta stick together. That's right. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
All right.
Thank you.